The following program contains views that are not those of W.V.TC, iNetworks Communications, their subsidiaries, affiliates, or financial supporters.
Go to your Apple or Google Play Store and download the W.V.TC Gospel Radio app today. You can also say, Alexa, play W.V.TC Radio Skills.
Would you like to play W.V.TC Radio Network?
Absolutely. Download it today.
God is doing. And I was brought up in the old church. And I'm going to jog your memory right quick and see it. Alright? The song just says, for God, somewhere, the world. Anybody remember this old song of the church?
your Apple or Google Play Store and download the WVTC Gospel Radio app today. You can also say, Alexa, play WVTC Radio Skills.
Would you like to play WVTC Radio Network?
Absolutely. Download it today.
All right, here we are again on another Saturday. Praise and Proclamation here on two-time Stellar Award-winning WV.TC Gospel Radio Network, and we are glad to have you back with us again on this another Lord's Day. I'm excited to have my sister sitting next to me, Jazie Mack.
What's going on, everybody?
We are back in living color, and we are so glad to have you to tune in with us on today. I'm asking everyone if you would please, during our introduction, go ahead and share this. Let everybody know that Prayer, Praise, and Proclamation is on the air. And we're excited to be back before you once again. We had a powerful month in May as we dealt with Mental Health Month, as we looked at that and talked about it. And we had several guests to come in and share with us about the mental health piece. And so now we're in June. In June, we're looking at men's mental health in June. And so I'm just excited to have my co-host here with me today, Jazie Mack, as we dive in a little bit on that today. But I need you all to come in and share this for me. I know some of y'all are out in the mall. I know you're getting your feet and nails done. I know you're getting that wig tacked down. You can pull your phone out, your iPad, and share this. You can put your earbuds in and listen to us wherever you are at the picnic. Put us on at the family reunion. Put us on. Let us ride in your car with you today while we're on Prayer, Praise, and Proclamation. And so, just an icebreaker. I was thinking about this last night. Being well, what does that mean to you personally, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? And I'll tell you what you do. Take it from a personal point of view. What does that mean to being well?
So for me, I mean, you kind of hit it. So being well to me has like pockets, where you have to have spiritual, you have to have personal, you have to have mentally. I also add socially to mine.
Okay.
And then I add spiritually. And it's being able to recognize in those different domains where you are.
Okay.
So like that's the first step of wellness, recognizing where I am and then determining if it's somewhere else I want to be. So like if you put it on a scale, from a scale of 0 to 10, spiritually, what is your wellness? If it's a 2, I got work to do. And in that area, I kind of need to work. But for me, real talk, the biggest one for most people that they fail is physical. We don't take care of our bodies at all. We don't take care of our bodies. And sometimes all we really need is rest. So I try to really identify for myself what I look like in those domains so that I can determine. And it's not people try to make it a monthly thing. This is like a weekly, daily type of situation. Like you really got to break it down because you don't know what's going to come up, what's going to happen, and you have to reassess. So once you make that goal as a week, you got to turn around and reassess it because now something else has entered into your domain and you got to fix it. Establishing where it is and where it needs to be.
Now speak to social, because you added social in there. Speak to that.
So we tend to think that God put all these people in the world for us to just sit in the house and pray. That is not it. So for me, socially, I had to assess what my social level is. I am not a huge outside person, right? But I do require some outside lifetime. So I need we all need it. That vitamin D is real. Like, it's really real. A little sunlight will really heal you. So being able to get out and do things. Go places, go to the shop, go to the mall, go to the grocery store. Like the one thing that I've learned from being locked down from COVID is you really gotta live. You do not know when your last day will be or your last breath. You're gonna take it. So like, I try not to put off what I can do today, but tomorrow. So I assess myself socially. Sometimes I'm ready to be around 1,000 people. Sometimes I need like just 2. And I make sure that I input those things into my wellness. When you're around people, they catch your vibe. And they know when you're wrong. And they know when you're right. They celebrate with you. They also correct you. By yourself, can't nobody see you. Or what you're doing or what's going on. So that's part of my social wellness that I try to make sure I keep.
That's good. The proverb said, "Both shall not on tomorrow, but one knoweth not what a day may bring." So I do understand that. I appreciate that. I hear that. In that aspect, as we're talking about that, why do you think so many men struggle in silence when it comes to their mental health?
So here was the thing. So I'm not a man. Y'all can tell, right? I know. Sorry to trick y'all. But I remember when I was in preschool, when a little boy would fall, they would tell him, "Get back up. Don't cry. Boys don't cry." And that thought process follows them throughout their life. Or be strong. It's going to be okay. So they keep that in themselves and they build on it. So as they get older and things happen, you stump your toe, that hurt. You might drop a tear, depending on if you break that toenail or not. But you hear that inner thought of somebody telling you, "Don't cry," so you hold it in. And it's just like a ticking time bomb. You keep pushing all of this stuff in, pushing all this stuff in, all this stuff in. Eventually you burst. And a lot of our men have just been pushing down because they've been told men don't cry, men don't have emotions, men have to be strong, as if having emotions negate the fact that you're strong or negate the fact that you are powerful. Like, they don't run hand in hand. They're not the same thing. And I think that's why most men choose to suffer in silence or deal with it on their own.
And that is true. We've always been taught, and let me change this because I do my students like this. I have always been taught as a man to not to show emotion. I've had people in me being grown tell me not to show emotion. You're too emotional. Why do you share emotion? And so I think what happens, it builds up inside of you, and sometimes makes you emotionally disconnected.
Yeah.
Because you're like, if I share my feelings, it's bad. If I don't share my feelings, it's bad. And so we just shut off, And so that's why there's so much untargeted mental health, because we don't like to talk. We don't like to share. Because a lot of times many of us have been castigated about talking about our, emotions and what we got going on.
Absolutely. I think too, like, we fail to realize that emotions have to go somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And when they're undealt with, untalked about, they typically show up in anger. Like, that's the typical place that it goes, especially for a Black man. I can't speak for any other race because I'm primarily around Black men, right? So if you don't deal with the trauma of being abandoned or the trauma of being sexualized or all of this stuff, it just turns into all of this stuff. And then at the end of the day, you don't even know another way to process it besides anger, and you become the abuser of people or alcohol or any of those things, because that's all you really know and all you see on TV between rap is violence. And that's how you end up letting it out. So when you really start talking about these things in like circles, and you like, "Oh, wait, that happened to you too? How did you deal with it?
Yeah.
Oh, this ain't how I was supposed, that ain't how that worked. Wait a minute." Because I always say dads baby their girls, and they, stronghold their boys type of situation, because you have to be a man, because you're going to be the protector and you're going to be the leader. Yeah, but at the same time, when you show me not to use these emotions, that's not good protection skills.
Yeah, and I believe it sort of causes a problem later on in life that we don't see when it comes to relationships.
Absolutely. Y'all teaching men to love women.
Yeah.
Women are soft. Well, some of us.
Well, I was about to say,
some of us.
Recant that last.
But we are nurturers by state, right? Yeah. Like, we've become harsh and hardcore because we had to, because of that's a whole different conversation, right? But we've become this hardcore exterior because of the environment that we've been put in. But at the same time, most women are soft. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all gonna get me. I told our secret. We have a soft spot for us. But men are being raised to be hardcore exterior, just pound, 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 to love on a soft woman. How you gonna do that?
Well, don't you say you were gonna you wasn't gonna with us for another subject. why have you been put in the position to be hard on us? So
For women,
yeah.
so I have this phenomenon that the government shifted men out of our homes initially. And then by happenstance, it just became what was necessary. The men kind of gradually came out. Like the initial state was you couldn't be in a home with your wife and get support and get services and get all of that. So the men started to disappear. And it became the routine, and you start seeing more and more single mother homes and women raising children by themselves. We had no choice at that time. And when I say we, I just mean women as a whole, to become this hardcore exterior, which to me is a replication of what we think men are supposed to be like. Why do men have to be this hardcore exterior, which is, again, displacement of emotion? So it's like when we learn how to feel the feels, as I call it, we can reassess where things go. Like for me particularly, I can't speak to anybody else. I do want to protect her, right? I want to be around it from a father, an uncle, a brother, whoever. I want to protect her, but at the same time, I also want to hug. But if you too tough to give me a hug, like
don't get out of here with that.
Exactly. That's typically what it does. Like, what you mean?
What you mean?
You want to hug on somewhere? Here goes some money. You know what I'm saying? So those are just the displacements, because what people don't like is to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So anything that takes them out, what do they think their norm is going to shift them. And again, we've been told the black man, the man, strong, powerful, no tears, no crying. I've seen people put their mothers in the ground and not shed a tear. And not to say that tears is the only thing that comes from that level of grief, but it's one of the bigger ones. And then they do it behind closed doors because that's, what's safe and what's acceptable.
Losing my grandparents within 12 days of each other during COVID, I honestly can testify, I never properly grieved. My mother was sick. My uncle was sick. And I had to be the one responsible for going to handle the business. Yeah. And taking care of everybody else and being there for everybody else. I never properly grieved. Then time progressed. My mother, her illness gets worse. Then she passes away eventually. But I dealt with her sickness for years while still grieving my grandparents. And I didn't realize how much anger I had built up within me during that time, because I felt like I was on an island by myself, trying to cope with the different emotions and the different feelings, and being there for my mother and letting her lean on me with losing her parents and being sick and not being able to be there. It was a lot.
Yeah.
And so I learned that I wasn't okay. I did a lot of masking.
Yeah. Be big on that.
And, I always refer it to Smokey Robinson, The Tears of a Clown.
Okay.
And that's what I was crying. The tears, I was smiling. And people were saying, man, you're dealing with this well, man. You're coping with this. You're handling it. But really on the inside, I was a mess. I took a class a while ago. Dr. Johnny Miller taught it about 2 years ago at our ministers division, leading while bleeding. I stood behind the pulpit many of Sundays while preaching and pouring into the congregation, and nobody knew I was bleeding on the inside. In pain, preaching, in pain, counseling, in pain, working, because I was masking and I didn't know how to get it out of me. So that piece when we talk about with men being hard and not being able to show their emotions is real. It's real.
So when you and it's just a question, I mean, you can answer it or whatever, but what do we think happens to the people that we lead if we're not teaching them how to properly do that. So if a boy never sees his dad cry or his dad shows emotions, I'm a big believer that people don't do what you say, they do what you do. So as for the parishioners, if we never show them that a pastor hurts, you build this false reality that they now hold you accountable for.
Yeah.
So a lot of the accountability that we place in the world, we created it.
Yeah.
Because we have these false realities of what I think. I've seen some people in my life cry maybe like 3 or 4 times. I'm not a big crier. And I'm like, why am I not a big crier?
Wow.
Because it was things that I saw. It was like, you don't just linger in it. You get up and you keep going, you keep going, you keep going, you keep going. And then eventually you wondering why you so tired, but you slept all night.
Yeah.
Because you literally be carrying around these bags and bags and bags and bags. Because I love therapy, okay? I fire my therapist too if she ain't doing good, or he. But I love being in therapy because it helps you work out through those things. There are things that my therapist helped me find out that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take that home and think on that some more, because I'm not accepting what you're saying to me type thing. But it's so much that we've learned through what people do. And not what they say. And it hurts more than it helps, because like you said, leading while bleeding. If you bleeding and you grab my hand, then all the blood that's on your hand is now on my hand. And guess how I'm gonna handle it? Exactly how you did. So now we just create these cycles of unhealed churches, unhealed households, when it's like, let's get back to the base. That's why that whole what happens in your house, stay in your house. That killed us real bad. Real bad. And now that we're in a space where mental health and trauma and healing the inner person is going viral, it's starting to unpack some of those wounds we have. I'm excited about it, not excited about it, because I don't want to be a trend. Because we have years and years and years and years and years worth of trauma we need to work on.
But and saying what you were saying, I agree with. But some have, like myself, became so adapt to bleeding and hurting and putting them all into those we lead, that we neglected what was going on with us. Because I was under the understanding it ain't about me. It's about the congregation that I lead. It's about me preaching. It's about me studying and sharing the word of God with my congregation. Even at sometimes when I would preach in that season, and I would go back to the office after the benediction and cry, because I crying to the point I was like, God, thank you for allowing me to get this word out, and get through this, even though I feel like this, even though I'm dealing with this, even though I'm in pain. So that's where it was for me, and this is just being transparent. Some probably people never even heard this before, but there was a lot of Sundays I left the pulpit after pouring out what God had given me and going into my office and just crying.
Because it's still a job that has to be done. And I think that's what people negate. We still have a role in a job that has to take place. I still have to see my clients. But that's why when you go through training to be a clinician, they teach you to learn your trigger point. So that you will know within a session, when it comes up, you already prepared for it. And I'm not saying that if you are a leader, the people you lead should be the ones nurturing your wounds. That's not what I'm saying. You should have somebody besides God. We already know that. We know God. We know He got you. You should have an earthly form of someone who is helping you nurture those wounds back to being healed and not Band-Aid.
And for me, it was Ardella Gibson. She knows I love her. She's my therapist. She knows I love her. Because Ardella, like you say, you want to fight your fight your therapist sometimes. I don't hear women. I ain't never been a woman beater, but Ardella,
I don't hear people either. I ain't breaking no nail.
And she'll tip a preacher. You hide behind. What does that mean for you? Because you're going around in circles. I'm not going around in circles. Yes, and she poured it out. Just pulled it out to me like, well, here it is, in the raw, and so she is the one who helped me get out of that season, because it was bad.
And
bad.
sometimes you really just need people. I mean, as a clinician, we talk. Once you say it, we give it right back to you.
Yeah.
And then we're like, did I hear you correctly? Right? Is that what you
Is that what you
said?
said?
Sometimes that's literally all a person needs. And
Yeah.
they're like, wait, whoa, that's what I said?
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
Because even in hearing you tell the story before this, when you were talking about your grandparents passing and your mom passing as well, you used the emotion anger,
Anger.
right?
Yeah.
But there were so many other emotions within that one that if you don't process it and talk to somebody, you'll stay within the anger.
That brings in the emotional will. I wish I wish I had it download. I think I might have one on it, but there's an emotional will we use in counseling and in therapy. I use it with my students, the emotional will. Let's see where you are on the emotional will. And you'll, like you said, you'll see where some of those emotions and angers and feeling will teeter into other areas.
And some people don't even know them. So they don't even know how to identify with them. I just created for the next book, the book that we talked about last week. I have an emotion chart, but the emotion chart is for kids. I've been seeing a lot of teachers start their day with that, where kids are coming in the classroom and it's like, where are you? What do you see yourself at?
Yeah.
Because if you got a kid that's pointing to the anger or the frustrated or the hungry or the tired, you're not getting a lesson done today.
No.
Because all of the stuff they went through to get from their front door to the front of the school's door, you're not getting nothing in there unless you start dealing with from that door to that door. And I know teachers get very frustrated with that because they were hired to teach, but the kids that we're teaching are dealing with so much before they get to their desk. It's almost impossible to expect them to perform.
That's why I come in at my school as a counselor, as a BAM counselor.
I love that program.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I love that program.
So I have my boys' second and third period.
Okay.
I have them for 48, 50 minutes a day. And we start off with a group check-in.
Okay.
I use a process called pies.
Okay.
It's like a slice of pie. How are you physically? How are you intellectually? How are you emotionally? How are you spiritually? Go around the group and we let each student check in to talk about that. And you would be surprised at what comes out of those check-ins, because what we do is we do a follow-up.
Okay.
Now, this is where it comes in. We first explained to them before we start the group, this is a safe container. And so whatever we say in this group or happens in this group stays within this group. It's a safe container. But as we go along, once you're done with your check-in, like if I did a check-in, I said, this is Q checking in. Somebody can come and say, Q, can I follow up with you? Yeah. Or you can say no. 9 times out of 10, they say, yeah, sure. I heard you say emotionally or mentally you're all over the place. And you speak to that. And you would be surprised what comes out of those check-ins. Yeah. So now when the student leaves my group from second period and get ready to go to their regular classes, they didn't dump.
Yep.
They didn't talk. They didn't express. And I try my best to set them up for success to be able to now navigate through the rest of the day.
And that's what men need. That's why I'm really big on when I see mothers calling their kids out their name, especially our young boys, because they adapt to that. Like I'm big on like what you name your kids. Stop calling that kid Bam Bam. Because he gonna act like Bam Bam, right? Like call that kid Power or something with meaning, right? But again, though, just teaching them that, I guarantee you on Saturdays when they wake up, they like, what slice I'm working with today. Because you not only taught it to them, you showed them this. Yeah. So that is a small, even if they don't do it right, that's a small piece of them that now is checking in. And then when something goes bad, they can't wait to get back to you. So they can be like, listen, on Saturday, my piece was all the way out of the place. But this is what I like. You'll eventually see them say, but I did this. I ain't slap them. I went and punched my punching bag type thing. So, and I used to work in shelters with kids. So these kids were coming from all over the state of Illinois, of various different backgrounds as far as demographics. And some of them it was as simple as really just asking them, like, what do you need? So I've got into the habit of asking, since we're kind of talking about me and just my male counterparts and my friends, like, how are you?
Yeah.
What do you need? Because as women, again, we're nurturers. We trying to fix it, get it done, help you make it happen. But if it ain't what you need, it's not going to satisfy.
Yeah, it don't satisfy the need.
So it's like the more and more we ask our kids and check in with our kids and check in with the men in our lives, I feel like we can start to rearrange this mental health. The other thing about mental health is everybody has a mental health. And I mean, maybe you could talk about this one day, the difference between mental health and mental illness.
Yes.
And that's a longer kind of situation. But everybody has a mental health. Just like you have a physical health, you have a mental health. Now, whether or not it's good or bad is what determines whether or not there's mental illnesses and things of that nature. So the more we normalize mental health in general, I think the healthier we'll become. And again, I'm so excited to see men going to therapy, especially our church men. Like, y'all been carrying a lot. Like, protecting women can be a lot in itself. Okay, we busy. And y'all better be there to protect us every time. You bet not miss a mark.
And working and doing everything else, and being everything to everybody.
And you're told that you have to be the head at all times, which, you know, biblically can talk another conversation because you're the head under a head. But you are told you got to protect. You are told you got to lead. You are told you got to provide. You are told you can't cry. You are told be strong. You are told man up. You are told all of this in the absence most of the time of a real man. So what do? You start picking and choosing. I think one of my friends told me once before, when he was younger, his dad was not around. So in order to create the man he wanted to be, he started pulling bits and pieces from TV show dads.
Wow. That's serious.
Because he didn't have that example in front of him.
Yeah.
So people are going to do one or two things. They're going to be the version of what they see, which typically is not the best version, or they're going to decide this is not what I want to be, and they're going to be the opposite. The majority of the time, they become what's there in their environment.
That is true. That is definitely true. What you said earlier, I laughed because it was spot on. On Mondays, my students are like on 12.
Yeah, they had a weekend. Okay,
and don't let it be one of them 3-day weekends.
Oh yeah,
where they come back on Tuesday. And so they've been out in the streets all week. The weather was good. They've been doing this, and they have a lot they want to share. You know, they have a lot they want to give. But even in those check-ins, in those circles, in those group check-ins we have, I model it first.
Yep.
I tell my students, like I tell my church, I ain't gonna ask y'all to do nothing that I'm not willing to do, and I model it for them. And I've had times where they said, "Well, Mr. J, you know, can I follow up with you?" Yeah, what's up, man? You start off and you said X, Y, and Z. Can you elaborate on it a little bit? Well, like, how'd you get there from that? Right. And I'm like, oh, that was
now you are getting some work.
Right. Okay. So and it just starts to unfold because they're like, well, if you want me to share, I expect you to share some stuff too. So and it makes them want to talk. It makes them want to engage. Because I don't say, I'm the teacher. I'm the counselor. You don't question me. It's about you. No, I'll go right in. I share how I'm feeling, and I share with them how I got there. I model it for them.
And clinically, I don't believe you have to go through something to speak to something. Clinically.
Yeah.
Spiritually, I do believe we go through stuff because the people are very much so keen to, you've never walked in my shoes. Well, actually, I have.
Sure have.
So, and that changes a lot for people. So, and I split it up like that because clinically, I don't believe that's necessary. I can absolutely lead you. I used to teach parent coaching. I ain't had a kid, not one time. Okay. And I was an amazing parent coach because that was a skill set. That was a learning that I learned. And then it was something I was able to bring to my parents based off observation and education. But spiritually, when I'm able to tell them you can be sick and be healed type thing, or you can be in depression and come out of it, like I can attest to those. And that's why testimonies in the church, which we don't hear a lot of anymore, are very powerful because don't tell me I can come out of depression and you come to church every day depressed. How you gonna tell me I can come out and you still in it?
You still in it.
How you gonna tell me God gonna pay my bills and you just asked me for $20? You ain't even got no money. Like, and those are the type
Make
of
it make sense.
those are the type of kids and parishioners that are coming to the church right now. Like,
Yeah.
I believe at one point, I'm gonna try to say this in the most respectful way as possible. At one point, the highest level of education of a church person was maybe like what, 8th grade. Now you have actual people who've gone to master's level programs, doctorate programs. You have an increase of educated people.
Yeah.
And they're looking for that same level of education to connect with them spiritually. So if you can't kind of feed the need or feed the desire, it's a different level of people that's in the church. Like I told one of my god kids, I desire to be, you know how old people just say Jesus like 5 times and they be like splat out on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait till I get to that level of spirituality.
Yeah.
It take a little more for me. Like I got to think a little bit about who he is and what he's done, what's going on in order for me to get there. But I think that's the difference in kind of the fight that was fought in the people that were showing up in the pews.
Yeah.
They were fighting a different fight than what we're fighting. Very similar, but at the same time, there are things that they desire. I can't say certain stuff to some of the college educated kids in my congregation because they're gonna be like,
right, looking at you.
1 + 1 is definitely 2.
Right.
You just said it was 5. And since you're saying it's 5, I believe you because I trust you as a leader. But can you show me how 1 + 1 is 5? Yeah. And if I can't show it, then now we have an issue. And I think that is important as we are encouraging like Black men and men to step up in their mental health. You can't tell them as a leader, it's important for you to go get your prostate check. It's important for you to, because y'all men don't like going to the doctor. Oh my God. We can't tell y'all to do this. And I actually, when the last time you've been to the doctor, and you was like, oh, I don't get sick. The Lord just heals me. Like, what? What do you mean? I just seen you eat pie-pies every Sunday. You was not healthy at all. So the more I think leaders start opening up to small things, I don't think the leader needs to show everything because then there's a level of discretion that is lost in the people that follows you. But the more you start showing small things, as simple as instead of them saying you eat Flaming Hots, now you eating a bowl of fruit. Kids gonna be like, oh, let me get some. Now I want fruit. And that's the same for those who follow us. We want to be like our leaders.
I agree.
So
I want to a comment. Sister Latrice Dixon, she said, true. Today marks 6 months of losing my son. Okay. I was diagnosed with PTSD. Therapy works. I just have to be patient with myself. Yeah, that's so true.
Absolutely.
That's so true. I told you last week, when I started clinicals at the University of Illinois, my preceptor told me, William, you're going to need a therapist.
Absolutely.
I'm like, lady, I'm not crazy. I don't need no therapist. What you talking about therapy? What are you talking about? She's like, with everything you have going on in just your personal life. She said, we haven't even got to the hospital level where you're dealing with the sick, where you're with losing a patient, and you have to deal with that family. She said, just your personal life alone, you don't realize you need a therapist.
Correct.
Went along, didn't get a therapist. Went through clinicals. I'm at 1,600 hours now. When I was at 800, I got a therapist.
Yeah, I bet.
Because I was
you probably wish you had it at 1.
Yeah, because I started dealing with what you know in counseling with transference and counter-transference and dealing with that the emotional strain and stress of losing my mother or even at the time when my mother was in hospice. And then I'm working as the palliative care chaplain, watching people go through the same thing that my mother's going through and then leaving their rooms and have to go off to the break room to take a break because the emotions have been transferred onto me thinking about my mother and what she's dealing with. It is a real thing. I will tell you, my brothers, it doesn't show that you're weak if you have a therapist. It shows you got good sense.
It actually shows strength because it makes you do what people say is not acceptable.
Yes. Brother Ramon Perry said, I believe in Jesus and a therapist.
Absolutely. Jesus made the therapist. Going back to the other comment, grief is clinically, they talk about it being a cycle. So it happens in different stages. So you have to be gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
In anything, not just in grief. Like if you trying to lose weight, if you eat a Snicker day too, it's okay. Just pick the watermelon up the next day. Like we have to be more gentle with ourselves. But that is a learned behavior that we've learned to pound and beat and chastise ourselves. We are our worst critics of ourselves. So definitely show yourself some grace. Absolutely get you a therapist. I believe in community too. Like get you a community that's around you, because there will be parts in the grief cycle where you do slip back into some of the lower states. And that's okay. But you should have a circle around you who's like, oh yeah, Bishop Q not feeling it today. Let me call him. Let me check on him. Let me take him out for pizza. I know what his favorite spot is. Let me do this. And that's why I am huge. And that's why we talked about early social wellness. I'm huge on making sure that I have those people around me that won't only celebrate with me when things are going good, but will grab me by my collar and be like, girl, come here, because you're doing too much, or you need to chill, or you need to relax. So to that person, definitely, praying for you in your journey, but be easy on yourself.
Yeah. Blessings, Bishop Harris. Thank you, man. God bless you. Brother Ramon said grief comes in waves.
Absolutely.
And doesn't give you a calendar.
And it be the smallest things.
Yeah.
The really small things. I lost my grandmother. I carry her name. She was big on the marching with Dr. King, all of that stuff. So I am not that person, but I have that mantle on the spiritual side, right? So I do little things and I'm like, dang, that's my grandma, right? Little moments like that. Even driving here, I passed the cemetery that she's buried in. And I'm always like, hey girl. And I'm like, dang, I miss my grandma type thing. Like, what would she say? What would she do? So it literally will come. You see a Pepsi Cola. My grandmother was big. If a man came by you a Pepsi Cola, he don't mean no good to you. Okay. So like every time I see a Pepsi, I'm like, my grandma. So that's why it's also important to get in therapy, because they help you identify those little things that you think are nothing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take it away. That's what I think people think therapists do. I'm not a therapist. We don't take away the pain. We don't take away the trauma. Don't take away the issue. We show you how to deal with it while you're still living. We just give you skill sets that most of you already have. You just don't know how to use them.
Most of us know how to use it. Our brother James Williams said, true. That is so true. That is so true. We're going to take just a moment. We'll be right back. Do me a favor. Share. If you have not shared this, I need everybody to go on your pages and share this. Let them know that the prayer, praise, and proclamation hour is on Stellar Award-winning W.V.TC Gospel Radio and TV Network. And you need to be in on this conversation today as we talk about mental health and men's mental health. We'll be right back. W.V.TC Gospel.
We all have mental health. It is just as important as physical health. It is not only about mental illness or mental disorders. This is just one part of a bigger picture. It's best to think about mental health as being on a continuum, rather than people being either mentally ill or mentally well. We are all on the continuum, and we move up and down according to factors such as our genetic makeup and upbringing, our life circumstances, and the stresses we are under. At one end of the continuum, we have mental disorders, like depression or anxiety. And at the other end, we have states of positive mental health, when we're thriving, content, and fulfilled. The aim of mental health interventions is to move people up the continuum, so that they're able to reach their full potential and live satisfying lives. The World Health Organization describes mental health as a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. Being mentally healthy means being resilient and able to cope with difficult times, feeling in control, being confident, feeling good about yourself, managing and expressing your emotions, building and maintaining good relationships. We all experience periods when we feel stressed, worried, anxious, sad, afraid, or angry. These are all normal emotions. However, when these emotions become severe enough that it interferes with a person's ability to function daily, and these feelings become persistent over time, then it can develop into a mental health problem. There are many different types of mental disorders. When left untreated, mental disorders can be chronic and long-lasting, and are associated with increased disability. They significantly have an impact on daily functioning and frequently interfere with family, social, and work responsibilities. Fortunately, there are effective treatments and evidence-based interventions available that aim to help individuals understand and cope with symptoms of mental illness. However, very few people with mental disorders access existing treatment services. This may be due to barriers such as the stigma attached to seeking help, the lack of understanding of mental health problems, uncertainty of how to get help, or the fear of disclosing mental health problems. Research shows that stigma remains one of the biggest factors preventing people from seeking help early for their mental health problems and getting the appropriate support they need. It is important to acknowledge that we all have mental health and have a personal responsibility to learn how we can improve and maintain our well-being in order to lead meaningful and satisfying lives. Want to learn how you can do this? Great news! Why not join one of our communities and keep exploring Maudsley Learning online?
What's up, family? It's MJM with your mental health moment here on W.V.TC. Listen, truth is, many of you are showing up to church, work, singing praise and worship, preaching, ushering, nursing, and while you're smiling on the outside, you're really struggling on the inside. But hear this out. Jesus sees and knows the entire you. That's both inside and out. And he's not ashamed of your story. So neither should you be. So it's really time that we speak on our mental health. Speaking on your mental health is not a lack of faith. It's an act of faith, because it's you showing that you know something isn't so right, but it's also you showing that you believe that healing can take place. So let's silence this stigma that mental health is something that church people don't deal with, because we do. And let's start having that conversation, because here is the thing. Healing starts with you being honest. Hey, this has been your mental health moment with MJM here on W.V.TC.
All right, we're back. W.V.TC Gospel Radio, Prayer, Praise, and Proclamation here with Bishop Q and Jazie Mack. I hope you guys are enjoying this segment we are having today as we talk about men's mental health and mental health as a whole. We hope that this show has been a blessing to you. Do me a favor, please. I can't stress this enough. Somebody you know, a family member, a friend, a colleague, a coworker, they need to hear this today. Share this on your social media pages. Share it in your email. Share it in text message. However you can get this message across in this broadcast and let them know that we are on the air here at W.V.TC Gospel Radio and TV Network. So let me ask you this, sis. How can faith and spirituality support mental wellness in men?
I mean, I think we've been talking a lot about it. Modeling.
Mm-hmm.
Model. The more they see strong leaders model this space of being able to explore these emotions, the more it will become a normal situation, right? So modeling it, providing spaces. You talk a lot about the tank, or the, what do you call it?
The container.
The container. You talk a lot about the container. So providing containers like that in the community, in the churches, so that people can have these safe spaces. and talking about it. Like when y'all at the barbershop, listen, when y'all in Home Depot, wherever y'all be, don't be afraid to talk about it or to see somebody that may be distressed. Call your homeboy, call your guy, like, yo, you ain't been out with us in a second. What's good? What's the problem? Where you been? What's going on? Because I think about it like this, and this is me just being very drastic, right? If I'm a man, right, let's say I got multiple baby moms. Let's just do the stereotypical, right? That's 4 or 5 different women that I'm trying to balance, 4 or 5 different children that I'm trying to potentially take care of. I don't know what's going on with the parents. As far as my parents, I gotta work every day. My job might be stressful. Getting to work in traffic is stressful enough if you live in the city of Chicago. You turn on the news, your homeboy just got hurt, or somebody just died, or somebody was just murdered last night. Like, just think of all of that, just pow and pow and pow and pow and pow, and then I'm told be strong.
Yes, right.
How?
Be strong.
You got this. Don't worry about it.
You got this.
Hang in there. And that's what men do. They just keep taking it, keep taking it, keep taking it, keep taking it, keep taking it. And what typically happens is they break on the person who's closer to them, which is normally a loved one. And now it's a situation that's hard to repair because that loved one is probably the one who supported you, who prayed for you, who fed you, who clothed you. And now you done spazzed out. All because all of these years of you just taking all of that, So I encourage men, like, y'all got this. I'm big on loving on my Black men. There are so many men out here who are really trying to do the work now. We on TikTok all the time. I actually have a lot of content creators that are men that are speaking on mental health and speaking on how they broke down from depression and how it made them crazy. I don't really like the crazy word, but this is the language they use, but how it took them out of character. So use what you got to get what you want. You already on social media. You're already doing those things. Follow some of those people so you can, at minimum, get your daily, I got this. I can make this work, or lift my head high. The Lord got me. So doing things like that. You were talking last week about a men's circle or a men's group.
We're starting something at Newmont Calvary called Man Cave.
Have you seen the show, The Shy?
Yeah.
So did you see theirs?
I did.
In The Shy? Love that.
Yeah,
so
I did.
Not to overpopularize it, but love the fact that this was one, a transgender man, a politician, a hood, a street boy, a couple of thugs off the block, the little ones. Y'all call them YNs, right?
That's the term.
That's the term that we're using. All coming into one space to realize that we really are the same.
We are.
It's nothing different. Like, your fight may look different. You may be fighting something different, but creating those space and teaching men how to sit in them. They don't know how.
No.
They've never
been not familiar with it.
They've never been invited to nothing like that.
No. Because, we sit around, watch the game, and play cards, play dominoes. I actually did that with a group of my friends. We went out to breakfast one morning, and I just heard everybody talking about, man, I got this going on, I got that going on, man, I'm tired. And I was like, let's do something, man. I'm like, well, what? I'm like, let's check in. Like, what's that? So I explained the check-in piece to them, and we did it around the table. And there were 2 brothers at the table that didn't even know that the other had something going on. They lived in the same house.
Because we'd be so unintentionally focused on our own stuff.
Yeah. They lived brothers in the same house. Didn't realize the other one was going through something. Yeah.
I think it's important too to be intentional about creating those moments.
Yeah.
It's very simple for you to say, let's go out and have breakfast. Come to the house right quick. I got the grill on.
Yeah.
Like,
my boy did it today.
Create those spaces, even if it's something you need. You know what I'm saying? Create those spaces, because eventually it'll become a thing. Like, church people, y'all know, after Sunday, what we going to do? Eat. Every Sunday. It never passes.
Rain,
so after the pastor say amen, we all like, you eating? What you finna go do? But it becomes routine. So when routine is broken, now we like, so ain't nobody gonna feed. We ain't gonna feed ourselves today.
What we doing today?
So intentionally create those spaces for men to be able to have a space outside of the football game, outside of the basketball games, and the other sports, because then they become comfortable with that's our only way to kind of deal.
Yeah, that is so true. So let's look at this, and I want to ask you this. I'm excited about asking you this.
I'm scared. Okay.
No, it is not. It's what we've been dealing with. Where is the balance?
Okay.
And when I said balance between prayer and professional help, because we talked about that in the beginning.
Okay.
You ask you tell a sister or brother in the church you're going to, so, well, baby, just pray about it. The Lord got you. You know, all you gotta do is take it to the Lord and pray. Get on your knees and let him know what you need. But where's the balance between prayer and professional help?
So the Bible says faith without works
is dead.
Right? Mm-hmm. Prayer is your faith. Mm-hmm. Works is you getting that professional help.
Yeah.
So the balance is connecting them. Mm-hmm. They are one and the same. They are 1 + 1 is 2. And if you don't connect them, then that's where the challenge comes. Yeah. To me, the biggest thing is I go to therapy, and then when I leave, before and after therapy, I pray before therapy. I pray after therapy. Sometimes I'm praying through therapy. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. They have this thing called Christian therapists. Yeah. You can now pray in therapy with a therapist. Mm-hmm. So as a clinician, you can't bring up God until the client brings up God, right? But if you enter into Christian therapy, you can. Because now they know this is what I'm coming into. Mm-hmm. So I think the biggest thing is, yes, when somebody tells you to pray about it. But if you see that you already got to tell somebody you got a problem, you're looking for answers and solutions. And obviously you're not keen to a space where you get that direct download, as people say, from God. Yeah. So now you need a conduit, somebody who's going to help you get those specific steps so that you can be healed from those things.
That's good. What role do community and brotherhood play in man's journey to wellness?
100%. Because the community and the brotherhood is what they're surrounded by. Mm-hmm. So if they're failed by the community and failed by the brotherhood, now they'll never trust another man, or never trust that somebody will have their back, or never trust that they have somebody to lean on and support on. And I'm not talking about, I need you to pay my rent type of thing. Like, y'all think every time we say build a brotherhood is so that you can give, so you can take from it. Yeah. Sometimes it's really just about giving. Mm-hmm. And if you think about just the fraternal things, like the reasons why they were created was to be a support. They have things that they're supposed to do in the community that's more than what people think of strolling and wearing letters, right? Yeah. So the more we build those things, it becomes, when I see those letters, I think of community. Mm-hmm. When I see those people, I think, let me run up to them, because he gonna have something for me. He gonna know that he can help me. So I don't know how successful a man can be without a real brotherhood, without a real community, because we aren't created to be in this alone. And the wrong community have you like Job. His friends was telling him, what you doing, bro?
What you doing? Yeah.
And that's the wrong community. I think that's what happens. So many of our men are attached in wrong communities, or negative communities, or bad communities. Mm-hmm. What if Job's friends was like, yo, bro, I'm gonna sit here with you. I ain't gonna say nothing. You need a little wipe for your little sore. Like, what if that's what they did? Mm-hmm. His torture would have felt a little different than what it was when they was like, what's wrong with you? Yeah. Why are you acting like this?
They did good until they opened their mouth. They was good.
And that's the thing. Sometimes you ain't got to say nothing. I've had people call me, and I've learned to ask, do you need me to listen, or do you need me to speak?
I use this phrase quite often. It's your presence, not your performance.
Yeah.
Just show up.
That's all you got to do.
As a counselor, as a chaplain, going to see patients, sometimes all the thing the patient wanted is just somebody just to sit.
Mm-hmm. Be present.
Be present.
Be present.
But we always feel that we have to speak to the situation. My cousin and I, we joke about this all the time when we call each other. We grew up or come up like brothers. And he's like, when I call you, I ain't calling you for advice. I'm calling you because I want to vent. Yeah. And I just want you to just let me vent.
Somebody to listen.
That's all I want you to do. I ain't call you for asking for advice. Thank you, Sister Latrice. She said this was good. Thank you. She said her therapist is the first lady. That's good.
Good. good.
That's real good.
We're seeing a lot of that, and I'm excited about that. But I know in counseling, one of the first things they taught us in one of the classes I took was the most awkward part of counseling is silence.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because you feel like you have to feel the silence. And we used to have classes where somebody would drop something heavy and you can't say nothing.
Yeah.
Because more than likely they have more to say. But if you start talking, now we entering that counter transference and then all of that other stuff. Because now this your therapy session.
Yeah, and if you mishandle me with this,
I ain't saying nothing else.
I ain't saying nothing else.
I ain't saying nothing else.
It's over. Session over. Yeah.
So we gotta learn how to be quiet. Yeah. Gotta learn how to be quiet.
Well, guys, the time has come. 4:01. Wow, time does fly. Let me ask you this as we leave our listeners. If you could leave them with one key message about wellness and wholeness, not just for men, but for everybody, what would it be?
Be honest with where you are. If you are at a 0 in your wellness, be honest so that we can connect you to the support and the resources so that we can get you a 10. Too often we lie about where we are.
Yeah.
If you're not sick, then you don't need help. You don't go to the doctor because you don't have a cold. You go to the doctor because you have one.
Yeah.
So be honest about where you are so that you can really, I guess transparent is the word I'm looking for, so that you can really get the support and the resources that you need. As a community, we got to stop lying. It is okay to not be okay.
Wow. It is. Say it again.
It is okay.
It's okay
to not be okay.
To not be okay. Wow. Well, my brothers and sisters, you have been here. We're here on Prayer, Praise, and Proclamation here on Stellar Award-winning W.V.TC Gospel Radio with your hosts, Bishop Q and Jazie Mack. We appreciate your time being with us on the day, and we hope to see you again on next week. And as we always leave, we always let you guys know, knowing this, that all things are possible if you only believe. And today we're going to go off the air with Richard Smallwood as they sing the song Healing. We want you to know there's healing for your sorrow and there's healing for your pain. God is still in the blessing business. He yet reigns and sits on the throne. This is Bishop Q signing off.
Jazie Mack.
And we'll see you in another week. Y'all be blessed. We'll talk to you soon.
Don't be discouraged. Joy comes in the morning. Joy comes in the morning. Know that God is nigh. Know that God is nigh. Stand still and look up. Stand still and look up. God is going to show up. God is going to show up. He's standing right by. He is standing by. Don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. Joy is coming in the morning. Joy comes in the morning. Know that God is nigh. Know that God is nigh. Stand still and look up. Stand still and look up. God is going to show up. God is going to show up. He's standing right by. He is standing by. Listen, there's healing for your sorrow. There's healing for your sorrow. Healing for your pain. Healing for your pain. There's healing for your spirit. Healing for your spirit. There's shelter from the rain. There's shelter from the rain. Lord, send the healing. For this one thing we know. Oh, yeah. To heal.
Views made on the preceding program are not those of W.V.TC Radio, iNetworks Communications, or their financial supporters.
Winning victory through Christ, W.V.TC Allsip Chicago, an iNetworks communication station.
Views made on the preceding program are not those of W.V.TC Radio, iNetworks Communications, or their financial supporters.
Winning victory through Christ, W.V.TC Allsip Chicago, an iNetworks communication station.